It's a strange feeling when you wake up in the morning, you've been in bed for a solid 7 or 8 hours, but somehow you feel more tired than when you went to sleep. It's not the kind of tiredness that a strong cup of coffee can fix. It's a heavy, foggy feeling that settles into your bones and makes just getting out from under the covers feel like a major achievement. For many of us over 60, we've been told this is just part of getting older. We think we have to accept it, that low energy is just our new normal. But what if I told you that the real problem isn't how long you slept, but what you did in the first 30 minutes after you opened your eyes this morning? There are three incredibly common morning habits that millions of us do on autopilot. Habits that seem completely harmless, but they are actually sending a shock to your system that drains your battery before the day even gets started. Today, we're going to talk about exactly what those three energy-wrecking habits are, why your body reacts to them so poorly after 60, and the simple, gentle swaps you can make to get your vitality back. Stick around until the end, because the third habit is something almost everyone does thinking it's healthy, but it's often the biggest culprit. As we get older, the conversation about health usually centers around heart disease, arthritis, or memory. But if you ask many seniors what they struggle with most on a daily basis, the answer is often simply not having enough steam to do the things they love. You want to play with the grandkids, work in the garden, or even just take a nice walk, but by 10 a.m., you feel like you need a nap. The reason our energy feels so fragile after 60 is because our body's internal chemistry has changed. Our cells aren't as quick to convert food into fuel, and our hormones that regulate our sleep-wake cycle are much more sensitive to disruption. This means that the first moments of your day set the stage for your entire metabolic performance. Mess up that first half hour, and you're fighting an uphill battle until bedtime. The first habit that wrecks senior energy is staying horizontal while scrolling through your phone. When the alarm goes off, many of us immediately reach for our glasses and then our smartphone. We lie there, flat on our backs or propped up against a pillow, checking emails, reading the news, or scrolling through social media. It feels like a gentle way to transition from sleep to wakefulness, but it's actually a twofold attack on your energy. First, the physical position of lying down signals to your central nervous system that it's still rest time. Your blood pressure is naturally at its lowest when you are horizontal. By staying in that position while blasting your eyes with blue light and often stressful information, you are forcing your brain to be alert while your body is refusing to engage. This creates a state of confusion that often leads to grogginess that lingers for hours. Instead, try a 2-minute rule. As soon as your eyes open, plant your feet on the floor. Sit on the edge of the bed and take 10 deep, intentional breaths before you look at any screen. This physical act of sitting upright tells your brain that the rest period is over, and the deep breathing acts as a gentle internal wake-up call, circulating oxygen to your brain without the stressful jolt of bad news. Now, the second habit is one that many of us were taught as children and never questioned. It's making your first meal a purely carbohydrate-heavy breakfast like cereal, oatmeal with a lot of sugar, a bagel, or just plain toast with jam. When you eat a meal that is mostly refined starch and sugar on an empty stomach, your blood glucose spikes sharply. Your body rushes to release insulin to manage this flood of sugar. And because our older bodies often overcorrect, it pulls too much sugar out of your bloodstream. This leads to a mid-morning energy crash that feels like you hit a wall. Many seniors don't realize that after 60, our muscle tissue becomes naturally less efficient at absorbing glucose, which makes these crashes even more severe than they were in our 40s or 50s. A fix isn't complicated. You just need to protect your body from that sudden spike by adding protein and healthy fat to that first meal. If you love your morning toast, that's fine. Just add an egg or a smear of avocado on top. If you are a cereal person, swap it for a bowl of plain Greek yogurt with a handful of walnuts and some berries. That combination of fat and protein acts like a slow-release log on a fire. It keeps the fire burning steadily for hours instead of the flash of newspaper that burns out quickly and leaves you cold. We are coming up on the third habit, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the most deceptive one because it masquerades as a healthy practice. This habit is reaching for a glass of ice-cold water immediately upon waking. We all know hydration is vital. Many health experts recommend drinking water first thing in the morning to rehydrate after a night of breathing and, frankly, losing moisture. However, for a senior digestive system, the temperature matters immensely. Our digestive fire, or what we might simply call our stomach's efficiency, tends to weaken with age. When you shock a system that has been at rest with freezing cold water, the blood vessels in the stomach constrict. This slows down the metabolic process and makes digestion sluggish. If you follow that ice water with food, your body struggles to break it down efficiently, which requires a massive amount of energy. That heavy, fatigued feeling you get an hour after breakfast might not be the food, it could be the cold water you drank beforehand. A simple shift is to keep a covered glass of water on your nightstand, room temperature. Even better, warm it up slightly in the morning. Warm water wakes up the digestive system gently, much like warming up the engine of your classic car before taking it for a drive. It hydrates you without stealing the energy your stomach needs to process your breakfast. Moving past these 3 morning traps, I want to share a bonus tip that ties everything together. It's a little technique called the morning sunlight anchor. As soon as you have put your feet on the floor and had your room temperature water, head to a window or step outside for just 3 to 5 minutes. Do not wear sunglasses for this short period if it's safe to do so. The specific wavelengths of light in the early morning sun are not just romantic, they are a biological signal. They enter through your eyes and trigger the release of cortisol in a healthy rhythm. Now, I know cortisol sounds like a scary stress hormone, but you actually want a gentle, natural spike of it in the morning. It's what makes you feel alert and ready to go. If you stay in a dark room or wear sunglasses all morning, your body misses this signal and never quite gets into gear. This little dose of natural light is like resetting your internal clock daily, and it helps ensure that by the time evening rolls around, your body is ready to produce melatonin so you can sleep deeply, waking up with more energy the next day. Let's quickly look back at how to change your morning routine starting tomorrow. As you wake, sit up and resist the urge to lie there with your phone. Give your body the dignity of a real transition. For breakfast, remember that your older body craves protein and fat, not just sugar, to keep the engine running. And when you hydrate, treat your stomach with kindness by choosing warm water over a shock of cold. Our bodies at this stage of life are not fragile antiques that need to be locked away. They're more like finely tuned instruments that simply require a different touch than they used to. You don't need to overhaul everything at once. Just pick the one habit that spoke to you the most and try the alternative for the next 3 days. Notice the subtle shift in how you feel by lunchtime. You might just find that the energy you thought was lost forever was simply being blocked by a few tiny fixable morning mistakes. If this video gave you a new perspective on your morning routine, please take a moment to hit the like button. It really helps this channel reach more folks like us who are looking for practical, gentle ways to feel their best. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss the next video. We are building a community here that believes aging is not about winding down, but about tuning up. Thank you for spending part of your morning with me, and I hope the rest of your day is filled with steady, comfortable energy and a lot of joy. You know, there's a moment in the afternoon that can feel a little defeating. Maybe it's around 2 or 3 o'clock. You're sitting in your favorite chair, perhaps reading a book or watching a show, and suddenly you realize you've been staring at the same page or the same scene for 10 minutes without really seeing it. Your eyelids feel heavy. Your body feels glued to the cushion. And that familiar wave of exhaustion just washes over you. It's in that moment that many of us start to believe the story we've been told, that after 60, running out of steam is just inevitable. But here's the truth that rarely gets talked about. The energy crash you feel at 2 in the afternoon rarely has anything to do with what you did after lunch. It's almost always a direct consequence of what you did before 9 in the morning. Those first 3 habits we discussed: staying horizontal with your phone, eating a sugar-heavy breakfast, and shocking your system with ice-cold water, they set a trap in the morning that springs shut on you in the afternoon. The good news is that once you understand this connection, you can disarm that trap completely. Now let's talk about what happens inside your body when you combine these 3 morning habits for years on end. It creates a pattern that researchers sometimes call the roller coaster effect. You start the day with a groggy brain that wasn't allowed to wake up naturally because you immediately fed it stressful information while still lying down. Then you gave that groggy body a breakfast that sent your blood sugar on a rocket ship, only for it to plummet back to Earth an hour later. And all of this happened while your digestive system was still half asleep because it was doused with freezing water before it had a chance to open its eyes. By the time lunch rolls around, your adrenal glands, those tiny but mighty organs that manage your energy and stress response, are already exhausted. They've spent the entire morning playing catch-up. So, when the natural midday dip in our circadian rhythm arrives, which happens to everyone regardless of age, your body has no reserves left to handle it. That's when the deep, bone-tired fatigue sets in. But when you switch to the gentle alternatives, sitting up before reaching for your phone, eating a breakfast with protein and healthy fat, and drinking warm water, you flatten that roller coaster into a smooth, steady road. Your adrenals aren't panicked. Your blood sugar isn't crashing. And that 2 p.m. dip becomes a gentle slowdown rather than a total collapse. There's another layer to this that many seniors don't realize, and it has to do with how these habits affect your sleep the following night. It's a vicious cycle. When you experience that afternoon crash, the natural temptation is to take a nap, and naps can be wonderful, genuinely restorative when kept short. But when the crash is severe, many of us sleep for an hour, sometimes 2 in the late afternoon. That extended late nap then makes it harder to fall asleep at a reasonable hour. You lie in bed, frustrated, mind racing, wondering why you can't drift off even though you felt exhausted all day. Then, because you slept poorly, you wake up the next morning feeling even more depleted. So you reach for your phone while lying flat, desperate for distraction from the tiredness. You crave a sugary breakfast because your body is searching for a quick energy fix. You chug the ice water hoping for a jolt of alertness, and the cycle deepens. Breaking just one of those 3 morning habits is like cutting a link in a chain that's been holding you back for years. Let me share a story about a gentleman I know named Robert. Robert is 74 years old, a retired teacher, and he told me he used to plan his entire day around his energy crashes. He wouldn't schedule appointments before 10 a.m. because he couldn't get moving, and he wouldn't schedule anything after 1 p.m. because he knew he would be wiped out. His world had shrunk to a tiny window of productivity, and it was making him feel depressed. He didn't think it had anything to do with his morning routine until we talked about his habits. His ritual was to wake up, check the stock market on his tablet while lying under the covers, then shuffle to the kitchen for a bowl of sweetened bran flakes and a large glass of water from the refrigerator dispenser, ice cold. When Robert made just 2 changes, sitting up and taking those 10 deep breaths before looking at his tablet, and swapping his cereal for scrambled eggs with spinach, the shift was dramatic. Within a week, he told me he had stayed awake through an entire 2 p.m., a movie without dozing off, something he hadn't done in years. He wasn't taking any special supplements or following a punishing exercise plan. He simply stopped sabotaging his own energy in the first 30 minutes of his day. Now, I want to give you something practical to take away, a simple morning blueprint you can try starting tomorrow. Keep it on your nightstand or on the bathroom mirror as a gentle reminder. Step 1. Feet on the floor within 60 seconds of your eyes opening. Sit tall, close your eyes, and take 10 slow breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Then you can reach for your phone if you need to, but you might find you don't want to. Step 2. Go to the kitchen and pour yourself a glass of warm or room temperature water. Sip it slowly. Feel it hydrating you without shocking you. Step 3. Ask yourself one question before you eat. Where is my protein? Whether it's eggs, yogurt, cottage cheese, or even leftover chicken from last night's dinner. Make sure there's some protein and a bit of healthy fat on your plate before any bread or cereal touches your lips. This 3-step ritual takes no extra time out of your morning. It's just a different sequence of what you're already doing. And the payoff, that steady energy that lasts until dinner, the ability to actually enjoy your afternoons, the freedom from the 2 p.m. crash, is absolutely worth it. As I wrap this up, I want to leave you with an encouraging thought. Our bodies are not betraying us as we age. They are communicating with us. That heavy fatigue, that brain fog, that afternoon crash, those are not punishments for getting older. They are messages. They are your body's way of saying that the old patterns, the habits you could get away with at 30 or 40, simply need a little adjustment now. And the beauty of this stage of life is that we have the wisdom and the patience to listen to those messages. You don't need to chase youth. You just need to honor where your body is today and give it what it's asking for. A little more gentleness in the morning, a little more warmth, a little more protein, and a lot more kindness. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this video. If you found even one idea here that you want to try tomorrow morning, I would be so grateful if you shared this video with a friend or family member who might also be struggling with their energy levels. Sometimes the simplest fixes are the ones that change everything, and every person deserves to feel awake and alive in their own life. Please hit that like button if this resonated with you, and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to keep exploring these gentle, practical ways to feel strong and vibrant at any age. Remember, tomorrow morning is a fresh start. Those first few minutes are a gift you give to the rest of your day. Use them wisely, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.